first, I will introduce myself. My name is Jenny Ambrogenti from the Bachelor of Technology and Livelihood Education, major in Home Economics, third year. Afternoon, class.
Good afternoon po, ma'am.
So, first, we will have check your attendance. Miss Abinales,
Present.
Miss Aguilar, Mr. Aguilando,
Present.
Miss Arsenio.
Present.
To make your lively further discussion begins, let's play a game. So, this game is called Break the Philosopher Riddles. You'll be grouped into 3 teams, and also you have to do that each group will receive image or the flashcards that might represent the answers to the given riddles. All you have to do is to raise or show the picture that the riddle is asking for. Understand, class?
Yes, ma'am.
So, at the end of the lesson, the students should be able to identify and describe various philosophical foundations related to teaching the new literacies and analyze how these philosophical bases influence teaching strategies across different subjects and evaluate the strengths and limitations of different pedagogical approaches to teaching new literacies. Let's have another activity. This activity is read an each statement and choose the correct answer if the statement is true or false. So before we proceed to our new lesson, let's have conduct a short review about the previous lessons. So can you tell me what our last lesson all about? Anyone from the class?
Ma'am, our last lesson was all about policy implications.
Yes, that's right. Yes, Miss Garabel. How can you define policy implication?
Ma'am, policy implication are the potential effects or consequences of a particular policy or action.
Yes, that's correct. Very good. I am glad that you are able to remember the last topic that we have. So, it just indicates that you are really did listen to our previous discussion. So, now, do you have any other question with regard to our topic last meeting?
No, ma'am.
So, my topic was all about the philosophical basis for teaching the new literacies across the curriculum. First, we have the 4 major foundations of curriculum. We have the philosophical foundation, historical foundation, psychological foundation, and also the last is social foundation. First is philosophical foundation. When we say philosophical foundation, it helps in answering what schools are for and what subjects are important, how students should learn, and what materials and methods should be used. The second is historical foundation. When we say historical foundation, the historical development shows the different changes in the purposes or the principles and content of the curriculum. And the third is psychological foundation. Psychological foundation provides a basics for the teaching and learning process. It unifies elements of the learning process. And the last is social foundation. Social foundation is a societal culture affects and shapes the schools and other curricula. So let's come now to the philosophical foundation. The first is perennialism. Perennialism is a classical subject's literacy, analysis, curriculum, and enduring. So when we say perennialism, this is the teacher-centered educational philosophy that focuses on timeless ideas and universal truths. The second is essentialism. Essentialism is essential skills of the 3 R's essential subjects. So when we say essentialism is the education is an approach that focuses on rigorous and instruction and the mastery of key topics and skills. The third is progressivism. The interdisciplinary subjects are learner-centered outcome-based. When we say progressivism is an educational philosophy that places a strong emphasis on the use of human experience as the basis for knowledge. And reconstructionism is present future educational landscape. And so, reconstructionism, this is the philosophy that emphasizes the addressing of social questions, and the quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. Let's come now the theory. So first is Franklin Bobet. Franklin Bobet is started curriculum development. Curriculum as a science that emphasizes on students' needs, and Franklin Bobet is started the curriculum development movement and believed curriculum should prepare learners for adult life and growth. Objectives and activities together the clarified task. The second is Weary Charters in 1875 to 1952. Like Bobet, curriculum is a science and emphasizes students' needs, and also objectives and activities should match subject matter or content relatives to objectives. So where charters is a curriculum and instruction would follow student inquiry and their needs. So therefore, allowing students to make relevant connections with their learning experiences. The third is post-casual. Sees curriculum as organized around social functions of teams, organized knowledge and learners' interest. Casual believes that curriculum instructions and learning as interrelated. Curriculum is a set of experience. So, post-casual is also the believe that the curriculum should be based on the needs of the learner and they must experience what they learn. So the curriculum should be formed to provide experiences. And also, Ralph Tyler believes that curriculum is a science and extension of school's philosophy. It has on students' need and interest. Also, the process emphasizes problem solving. The curriculum arms to educate and not specialist. Ralph Tyler is this theory developed in the mid 20th century remains influential and relevant to this day. So clear learning objectives. Tyler argued that education should start with the establishment or clear, specific and measurable learning objectives. And also Helga Taba. Helga Taba's contribute to the theoretical and pedagogical foundations of concepts, develops and critical thinking in social studies curriculum. Also, Helga Taba is the major steps in Taba's model are the diagnosing needs, formulating objectives, selecting content, organizing content, selecting learning experience, and also the organizing learning experience, and the last is evaluating. And William Kilpatrick is curricula are purposeful activities which are the child-centered. The purpose of the curriculum is child development and growth. The project method was introduced by Kilpatrick where teacher and student plan the activities. William Kilpatrick believes education should be child-centered rather than focus on rote memorization. So he advocates for an integrated curriculum based on the students and real-life interest and maximum student participants, which lead him to develop the project method. And Harold Rugg is curriculum should develop the whole child. It is child-centered with the statement of objectives and related learning activities. Curriculum should produce outcomes. Harold Rugg is a long-time professor of education at Teacher College and Columbia University, was one of the best-known educators during the era of progressive education in the United States. He produced the first ever series of school textbooks from 1929 to the early 1940s. And also, Peter Olive describes curriculum charge and operative endeavor. Peter Olive is a model of curriculum is a 12-component model for developing curriculum based on analyzing student and community needs. And Robert Gain is identifies he is identifies the five major categories of learning. We have the verbal information, intellectual skills, and cognitive strategies, motor skills and attitudes. And we have the different internal and external conditions are necessary for each type of learning. And also, Father Ivan Pablo is father of the classical conditioning, the theory of is-R theory. So, first discovered by Russian psychologist Ivan Pablo, classical conditioning is a learning process governed by associations between an environmental stimulus and another stimulus which occurs naturally. Edward Thorndike is championed the conditionism theory. He proposed the three laws of learning. We have the law of readiness, law of exercise, and law of effect. And he is specific stimulus has a specific response. In Jean Piaget, it describes cognitive development in terms of the stage from birth to maturity, and Jean Piaget suggests the teacher's role involved providing appropriate learning experience and materials that stimulate students to advance their thinking. And Lev Vygotsky is a children code as a result of their interaction with society prior to actually perform certain cognitive actions prior to arriving this development stage. Levi Vygotsky emphasizes guiding children's learning through the interaction with a more knowledgeable other, or also called MKO. And Howard Gardner is a multiple intelligence. He is a human have several different ways of processing information, and these ways are relatively independent of one another. And Daniel Goleman is emotion contains the power of affect action, emotional quotient, and humanistic and psychology. Daniel Goleman he proposed that EI consists of five components. We have the self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. He also argued that EI is more important than IQ for success in life, as it affects how we communicate, learn, work, and lead. And also, Abraham Maslow is self-actualization theory, classical theory of human needs. Abraham is a hierarchy of needs. Theory is a psychological theory that states a person is motivated by the fulfillment of five levels of needs. Maslow's five levels of needs are they have the psychological, safety, social, esteem, and self-actualization. And Carl Rogers is non-directed and therapeutic learning. Carl Rogers is more balanced student focused on model that encourages active participation and self-directed learning. And John Dewey is also considered two fundamental elements of schools and civil society to be major topics needing attention and reconstruction to encourage experimental intelligence and plurality. And also, learning happens through experience or by getting hands-on. Learning requires active engagement, and learning should take place within a school content. And the last is Alvin Toffler. He wrote the book Future Shock. He believes that knowledge should prepare students for the future, and also suggested that in the future parents might have the resources to teach prescribed curriculum from home as a result of technology, not in spite of it. And the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, um, learn, unlearn, and relearn. So the American businessman and futurist is Alvin Toffler made this prediction more than 50 years ago. Okay, that's all my report. I hope you learned something.